Okay, let's start our second talk. This talk is given by Yi Ting. Tu. The title of this talk is Positive Partial Transport Criteria in Flat Geometry. Let's welcome Mr. Tu.
My name is Yi Ting, and I'm an undergraduate student from National Tsinghua University. Today I'm talking about positive partial transport criteria. So I'll first talk about the background and the motivation, and then our results. So I'll first talk about the PVD criteria. The previous talk had been introduced this, so I'll talk more quickly. We are talking about this is a criterion for content entanglement. But we are here talking about the entanglement of a general mixed state, not necessarily for pure state. So it can use for both mixed state and pure state. A bipartite state is called separable. It cannot be written as a classical mixture of product states. And if it can be written as a classical mixture of products, and if it cannot, it's called entangled. So the problem here is, given the density matrix, how to test if it is an entangled state. In general, there's no general procedure. There's no general efficient procedure to provide the answer. But there are some entanglement criteria. And the PVD criterion is one of these entanglement criteria. So first, we use a tensor product basis to write rho as a matrix. Then the rho transpose is like this. Here we just exchange a part of the indices that correspond to subsystem B. So the criterion itself is that if P is separable, then rho TB is the positive semi-determinant operator. So if rho TB is not a valid content state, then rho is an entangled state. Now our work is about the PVD criterion on a content phase space. Our motivation is from the PVD in a continuous variable system. In the traditional quantum mechanics, a continuous variable system is often described by the position and momentum operators. For example, we can describe an n-dimensional particle or n modes of a quantized electromagnetic field. But here we want to use the phase space formulation. So we use the phase space coordinate vector. And the commutative relation becomes here 2n by 2n matrix. This omega matrix will be very important in this talk. Also, in traditional quantum mechanics, we often describe a quantum state using a wave function. But here, we want to use the wave function is not a function on phase space, so we use the Wigner function instead. It is very much like a probability distribution function on phase space. So if you haven't heard of Wigner function, here are some examples. 有办法当化石的，这有办法当化石的。不行，For example, here's a case of the coherent state. It is represented by a Gaussian function on phase space. So you can see here very clearly the uncertainty in the momentum product and the position part, very much like the probability distribution. But it's not a true probability distribution. For example, for Fock state, the number state of a harmonic oscillator, it contains negative value here. So it's not really a probability distribution. And also, a Wigner function can describe mixed state, not just pure state. Okay, so let's return to the PVD criteria. But now we are using the phase space formalism. So the state is now given as a Wigner function. So here are two problems. The first, given a Wigner function, how to compute its partial transpose given as a phase-space function. And the second problem, given a phase-space function, how to decide if it corresponds to a Wigner function of a valid state. So the answer to the first problem turns out to be quite simple. We just need to invert the momentum part of momentum variable of the second part. But the second problem is quite difficult in general. But an important special case is when W is a Gaussian function. And in this case, the condition is very simple in terms of the covariance matrix of the state and the omega matrix we introduced before.
Sorry, what do you mean by valid state?
A valid state is it is a Wigner function of a quantum state. Because in the PPT criterion, the second part, the condition is that the partial transpose is positive semi-definite. So of course the partial transpose is Hermitian and Hermitian and trace one. But so the condition that the partial transpose is positive is equivalent to the partial transpose is a density matrix of a quantum state. So I didn't talk here, but actually the Wigner function here can be defined for any quantum any operator on the Hilbert space, not just for the density operator. So here we can compute the partial transpose as a phase-space function. So now we can put these two things together to derive a condition of PPT for the Gaussian state. So we break the omega matrix here to two parts, correspond to the subsystem A and subsystem B, and then we can derive that the PPT condition is this. So in this case, we can see that the relationship between the validity condition and the PPT condition is just a partial sign change of the omega matrix. But why is the omega matrix so special? The answer is from classical mechanics. When we do a canonical transformation on the phase space of a classical system, the omega matrix is preserved in this way. It's like a genuine relativity. Yeah. And in fact, the omega matrix is the matrix representation of a bilinear form on the phase space. And this bilinear form is a geometric structure of the phase space called the symplectic form. And a vector space with this kind of structure is called a symplectic vector space. So here, a continuous variable quantum system can be described by a phase space, and the phase space is the symplectic vector space. So here is our this is our motivation. Can we formulate the PPT criterion using geometry rather than using coordinates? So here we begin the first part of our work. But we are working on a bipartite system, so we need two symplectic vector spaces, one for A and one. Now the phase space of the whole system is the direct sum of EA and EB, and the symplectic form is omega A plus omega B. Now there's another symplectic vector space that we can construct from EA and EB. Its symplectic form is omega A minus omega B. So this is a mode and F mode, and the space is like this. Now, using this language, we show that a partial transposition map on phase space essentially corresponds to a separable linear symplectic morphism. From E omega to E omega minus, which means that separable means it acts on the subsystem separately. Symplectomorphism means that it takes the symplectic form here. Now this is the geometric description of partial transpose. But to describe PPT, we also need a geometric description of positivity or the validity of a state. So here, but it's more difficult. So let's first see look at the case of the Gaussian states. This is the set of Wigner functions of all Gaussian states. So these are Gaussian functions on phase space, but not all the Gaussian functions. For example, if we take the partial transpose of a function here, it may go outside the set. But if we consider the larger set of all 2n-dimensional Gaussian distributions, then the partial transpose of a function here is still in this set. And recall in the original formulation, the validity condition is not written directly using the Wigner function, but in terms of the covariance function. So here we parameterize this larger set using the expectation value, expectation vector, and the covariance form. These are geometric objects on phase space. So when we do some transformation on this side will transform in the usual way. Now the smaller subset here corresponds to here just the usual validity condition of the covariance form. Note that this is a geometric condition. And next we want to generalize this procedure to other kinds of states. But unfortunately, this procedure doesn't work for any kind of continuous variable state. So instead, we just consider some special type of state states that have some desired properties. So again, we extend this set of Wigner function to a larger set of phase space functions invariant on the continuous position, and we assume that we can parameterize this set using some geometric objects. And also we assume that the validity condition corresponding here can be expressed using some geometric condition on the parameters and the symplectic form. So now this slide is all about symplectic geometry. So why do we do this? Because now we can define what is meant by validity with respect to a symplectic form. With respect to a symplectic form, we just need to replace the symplectic form by others. So using this language, we can describe the PPT criterion in a very simple way. A state satisfies PPT can only if it's valid with respect to omega magnitude. So of course, this framework does not work for any kind of states. It only works for some special set of states. So let's see some examples. The first example is the cat state. A cat state is the superposition of two coherent states at the opposite positions. So let's see how its Wigner function looks like. So here are the two Gaussian functions correspond to the two coherent states. But here is also an interference term in the middle. It must be there because we can see that in the position and momentum distribution, when two wave packets overlaps, there must be some interference between them. So this also explains why this interference pattern must be in this direction, parallel to the line connecting the two Gaussians. Here we consider this type of bipartite cat state in a 2n dimensional phase space. So here we just draw a schematic diagram of the Wigner function. Now, when we do the partial transpose of this kind of function, it still look like this, but the interference pattern may be in the wrong direction after the partial transposition. So we just extend this set to include those wrong cat states. And next, we want to parameterize this. So we parameterize this by three parameters. The first one is V, the direction of the interference pattern, and V prime is the line connecting the two Gaussians, and R is the distance between the center and one Gaussian. Now, the validity condition is just when the interference pattern is in the right direction. So if we were in 2 dimensions, then this condition is just V is parallel to V prime. But here we are in 2n dimensions. So here the direction of the interference pattern is actually a 2n minus 1 dimensional hyperplane. So here the condition is that V prime and V are symplectic complements of each other. The symplectic complements in symplectic geometry is like the orthogonal complements in Euclidean geometry. So now what is the condition of infinity? It's just the validity condition with respect to omega minus. So we just need to change omega here to omega minus. So suppose V omega minus is here. So if V omega minus still equals V prime, then this stays satisfies VBT, and it will not evaluate VBT. And moreover, we can define the angle here as theta as the degree of violation. Well, this example can be generalized. For example, we can consider the superposition of non-coherent states, or we can even consider other combinations of Gaussian terms and interference terms with all of in the case that all of them are far apart. So we can construct some interesting case of PPT state here. For example, we consider a cat state, a classical mixture of a cat state with the 2 additional coherent states here. And if the V omega minus is not V omega, but it still equals to the line connecting the other 2 Gaussians. It needs some additional assumption, but we can construct a situation so that this still a valid state with respect to omega minus. So this state will still satisfy infinity. Another example is the zero eigenstate of quadrature operators, like the zero momentum operator, or zero momentum state, or zero position state, or this kind of EPR states. The Wigner function of this kind of state is the n-dimensional delta function. It supports a Lagrangian subspace. A Lagrangian subspace is that a subspace that when its symplectic complement is itself. So to formulate this kind of state, we just need to extend the Wigner function to include all the subspaces and parameterize by the subspaces, of course. And the condition of validity is just when the subspace is a Lagrangian subspace. So the PPT condition here is just when the subspace here is Lagrangian with respect to omega minus. Now, this example is quite interesting because it can be related to a classical system. For example, we consider a Lagrangian torus of a classical integrable system, bipartite Lagrangian integral system. So this is a Lagrangian torus. It's a Lagrangian submanifold of the base space. So we can test. We can use the previous geometric formulation of PPT to test if this torus is a product torus. It's like a separable state. So we use for a point on this Lagrangian torus, the tangent space is Lagrangian subspace, and we can see and we can compute if test if this Lagrangian subspace is Lagrangian also with respect to omega minus. And if it is not Lagrangian with respect to omega minus, then this torus is not a product torus. And also we can use the dimension of the intersection here for a degree of separability of this Lagrangian subspace. So, in some of the examples above, the condition of validity involves only the operation of taking symplectic complements. So we can give a geometric interpretation of this kind of condition. The symplectic complement takes a k-dimensional subspace to 2n minus k-dimensional subspace. And also the omega minus complement also map in this way. So whether the state satisfiability only depends on whether these two subspaces are the same. And also if we can define geometric distance between these two subspaces, then this can be a failure of PVT or maybe a candidate of an integral major. This may be related to the negativity, but the distance between these two subspaces may have many different definitions. So I don't know if what is the definition that corresponds to negativity. So until now, we only talk about continuous variable phase space. But there are still other kind of common phase space. For example, the spin phase space, which can be used to describe some atomic system. So we are interested in how can if the previous result can be transformed can be generalized to other kind of phase space. So first so this is the second part of our result. First I'll talk about a physical intuition on how the previous result can be directly transformed to approximately transformed to the case of large spin phase space. Now here we consider a classical system of a free particle on a sphere. So the original phase space is four-dimensional. Now we do the following reduction. First, we restrict the size, the length of the angular momentum to a fixed value L. So this reduces the phase space to 3 dimensions. And next, we identify all the states related by 3-time evolution as a single state. So for example, these 4 states are moving on the same great circle. So these are the same states. So this further reduces the phase space to 2 dimensions. And it's interesting is that the 2-dimensional reduced phase space can be identified with all the possible L's. So this is the large spin limit of a spin common phase space. And so this is a phase space. And also we reduce the symplectic structure. So for symplectic structure, we consider 2 perturbations of this classical state. The first is to perturb PZ. And the second is to perturb Z. So in a reduced phase space, this corresponds to a perturbation of Ly and Lx. So this is a mathematical process called symplectic reduction. So we can see this here. We can see here that the symplectic form of the original 4-dimensional phase space induces a reduced symplectic form on the reduced 2-dimensional phase space. In this term. And also from this we can see the reduced phase space locally looks like a 1-dimensional phase space. A phase space of a 1-dimensional particle with this correspondence. So in a quantum case, which means that the continuous variable, a large spin phase space locally looks like a 1-mode CV continuous variable phase space. So, which means that the previous result can be generalized directly to the case. If the weakness function is localized enough, it can be generalized directly to the case of large spin-based space. For example, we can consider the CV system entangled with a spin system, or a spin system entangled with another spin system. But this is only a hand-waving approximation, so we still want a rigorous treatment. So we use some more advanced mathematical tool here. So I will just talk about the idea. In a CV system, we can go around the phase space by the translation of position of momentum. So here it goes the other way around. We define the phase space itself using a set of ways to move around. So it's the dynamical symmetric group acting on the Hilbert space. And the reference state is like the generalized coherent state. And the phase space is defined this way. And the weak bounding is clearly defined. And for the sympathetic form, it's more technical. We use the KKS sympathetic form on the coordinate or dynamical symmetric group. And of course, the continuous variable system can be formulated in this way. And in this case, it's a Heisenberg group acting on the Hilbert space. And for spin system, the group is SU2. So here's no approximation. We can even consider the case of spin half system, spin one half system. And that case is very interesting because the phase space is equal to this block spin. So it's another story. And we also need to formulate a bipartite system in this. So the dynamical group is a direct product. This space is a product manifold. And the sympathetic form is omega A plus omega B. And again, we can define another sympathetic manifold which is omega A minus omega B. So here is the result. With some technical assumption, which it generalizes part of the result from the CV case. And we can still define the framework and it's still this. But maybe this framework will be less quite difficult to use because here we are in a sympathetic manifold, not the vector space. So the geometric structure is very strict. So here's a summary. We use the geometric framework to formulate PVC, and we provide some examples and derivation.
Question. You have some example of Gaussian state, K state.
The Gaussian state can be used. It's from our motivation. So it's not done by it's first not done by us. We can still use our framework to describe Gaussian states.
Have you considered an example of a GKP state?
You mean the but its weakness function is quite. I think its weakness function is quite complicated.
Yeah, GKP is very hot.
Maybe I can try.
Okay.
What is the meaning complex larger than 0?
What?
Yes.
Yeah, this. This is a complex, but it's a Hermitian. It's a puzzle. It's still a. Yeah, it's still a Hermitian, so we can still tell whether it's positive definite or not. I mean, its eigenvalues are still real.
Okay, Then thanks Mr. Tu again.